Game sevens, they are agonizing and exhilarating. Throw in overtime, and it's a roller coaster that can ride off the rails at any moment. You're either ending the night high-fiving random strangers, or you're burying your head in your hands. And tonight, they're still high-fiving outside the Garden. Stefan Matteau, you've got some company. Derek Stepan, you too. Artemi Panarin joins them in the history books. They're the only Rangers to end a series scoring an overtime winning goal in a Game 7. The Breadman delivers, and the Rangers move past the Penguins and on to Carolina in the second round. So let's dive into this right now, shall we? Starting with tonight's sports final headlines, brought to you by Northwell's Side by Side, featuring an NYC block party with a special DJ appearance by Questlove. Breadwinner Artemi Panarin nets the game winner in overtime of Game 7 to send the Rangers past the Penguins and into the second round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs. What a moment, what a night. Nasty Nestor Cortez sparkles again. 8 stellar innings of one-run ball. The Yankees take 3 or 4 from the White Sox. 5-1 Sunday's final. They reach the 25-win mark. No magic moment. The Mets' 9th inning comeback against the Mariners stalls as Pete Alonso strikes out with the bases loaded. Mets drop their first series of the season, falling to the Mariners 8-7. We've got plenty of baseball to talk on the show, but we start with hockey and Game 7. And there is no quit in these New York Rangers, right? You knew there would be no quit at the Garden tonight. Game 7 goes to the Blue Shirts. Alan Kreda from the Associated Press was there at the Garden. You ran your own breakaway up 6th Avenue to join us here in studio. Thanks for being here.
Sure.
What was that moment like at the Garden
It was
tonight?
an explosion of exuberance. The Ranger fans were waiting. They were sitting on their hands in that third period, down a goal. Is this going to be how it ends? It can't end this way, they were thinking. And then boom, Mika Zibanejad, late goal. Overtime seems inevitable. Overtime becomes inevitable. Then what? Then the power play. A power play emerges. You had the feeling maybe Artemi Panarin is going to have his moment. They had a setup, a few setups didn't quite work, and then it was in the net.
If you get a power play in overtime, you have got to take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
And, you know, there was so much that was set up going into this with Tristan Jarry playing, with Sidney Crosby coming back, that you wondered if Pittsburgh would kind of have some momentum on their side with Sid the Kid coming back. And you were waiting for the stars for the Rangers all along to shine. And Artemi Panarin especially, there was a lot of pressure on him to make a play, and he did in overtime.
Immense pressure. I mean, a Game 7, just the fact that they got to the Game 7 was an incredible achievement. They came back from 3-1. That's something that Henrik Lundqvist Ranger teams did twice years ago, but this was new territory.
And here's the goal in overtime from the right circle on the power play. He was looking for his spot.
He was, and that's his spot. And I asked him after the game quickly, and he's always a smiler, and I said, how does it feel, Game 7, overtime, the Garden? You had your moment. He's like, well, yes, but I should shoot more. I should learn to shoot more.
And I think a lot of people were screaming for him to shoot more. I know every time he got the puck, you could almost hear it around the city. Shoot! And he did. He found his spot.
He did.
You know, and it's not just Artemi who was making it happen. I mean, Mika Zibanejad tonight was brilliant. He was exceptional in Game 6. Another elimination experience for the Rangers. They keep coming back. They keep finding ways. And, of course, Chris Kreider.
All 3 Ranger leaders, all 3 raised their games when the stakes were highest. That's what great players have to do. That's what great players have to do in the playoffs, and they did it under extreme pressure. The season was such a success, 52 wins, 110 points. No one expected the Rangers to be this strong this quickly. Gerard Gallant maybe performed some miracles, but his philosophy has basically been let your good players, let your great players be themselves, play their games, relax, do their thing, and all 3 did it in various ways these last 3 games, which were huge learning curve experiences for the young guys.
And important for the young guys, but you've still got the stars that needed to show up. And, you know, whatever the reason is, the Rangers are comfortable, it seems, playing from behind. First team in NHL history to win a playoff series, having come from behind in 3 straight elimination games in the same series. And Mika Zibanejad tied the game late when you were wondering, would that tying goal come?
Certainly not good for the blood pressure of Ranger fans.
No.
3 times in a row. This was only a 1-goal deficit late. They had 2 2-goal deficits in Games 5 and 6. So it was some miracle work there. I think when Mika tied it, there was an air of relief almost, knowing we can get this in overtime. We're home. We're here. We can find a way. We've done it before. Game 7's been a bit of a lucky charm for the Rangers.
It has.
Number 7 is a lucky charm for the Rangers with Rod Gilbert's spirit. watching over this team all season with his patch on their shoulders, so there's no accident. In California, where his daughter was watching, it was 7:07 on the clock when the goal went in.
Isn't that something? Winning Game 7. And, Game 7, I mean, it makes heroes out of players, and Igor Shesterkin became one tonight. What a performance. This game doesn't get to overtime without the effort that he turned in tonight, turning away some just grade A chances that the Penguins had.
No question. I mean, this was what Doc Emmerich always called that unseen hand coming to the forefront.
That's right.
He made some saves in the first period that were out of, I don't know, the circus, and they just kept them in the game. They had a 1-goal lead, but Pittsburgh tied it, but it didn't get worse than that. This was Igor's coming out party. This was his stealing a game to some degree, as Henrik did so many times.
Shades of Henrik Lundqvist in this, some of those.
This was his moment. I mean, the last time.
That one right there. Whew.
Tremendous, and he just denied that. You can sense the Penguins were frustrated. Sidney Crosby played, but he wasn't fully himself. He didn't have that moment. Malkin, Kenny Malkin, the same. Chris Letang, they were there. They played their games, but they couldn't accelerate their games tonight for whatever reason. A lot of that was Shesterkin's strong play.
42 saves for Igor Shesterkin. Those disastrous 2 games in Pittsburgh early in the season, a distant memory with something like this. How was he able to recover and do this tonight?
Goalies are amazing. They're like relief pitchers, like closers. They're just able to put yesterday behind them, move on to the next, somehow forget about that 7-goal mess. Look at the next game. Look at the next game. Mariano Rivera talked about that all the time, how he was able to isolate, move on, isolate, move on. Henrik Lundqvist, same. I'm sure he's talked to Igor about that. I'm sure they've had conversations. Benny, the Rangers' fabulous, Benoit Allaire, the Rangers' fabulous goalie coach, works with these guys, visualization, thinking about the game, putting themselves into the moment. This is why they've had such successful goals.
Well, we saw him at practice before Game 5, really working with Igor all afternoon to try and get it right. And I got to say, it was a bit of a head scratcher at that practice, ending it with gassers. Gerard Gallant's pushing the right buttons. We were wondering, is this Herb Brooks running the show here?
Old school works.
But it worked, huh?
Gerard Gallant played with Steve Yzerman. He knows what it takes to win. He was a 30-goal scorer multiple times. He's no nonsense, but he can be some nonsense. He can push the buttons. He pushed them a little bit so that he had to do something to drive the troops a little harder, and it worked. I mean, I didn't tire them out for 4 hours like Al Arbor might have done with the Islanders back in the day, but it worked.
It worked.
It clearly worked.
Incredible 3 straight elimination games. They win all 3. It's the 3rd time the Rangers have come from a 3-1 deficit to win a series. 2014, 2015, and now.
It's quite remarkable, because you think maybe you'll see that once in your hockey watching life, but to see it 3 times in a decade by the same team, no accident. It's a mindset. This team, of course, has been saying we don't quit, we never quit, there is no quit. They proved it. Whatever happens next, the season's been a raving success.
Yeah. Well,
whatever happens next.
Next, it's the Carolina Hurricanes, a team they jockeyed with all season, and Carolina edged them for the Metro. They won 54 games in the regular season. They took out the Bruins in Game 7 yesterday. This is a tough matchup for the Rangers.
It is. Carolina's loaded. They're deep, they're big, they're fast, they're experienced. They have 6'6" Rangers on the roster. They have Max Domi, the son of Ranger legend Ty Domi. That's an added ingredient. They have Antti Ranta, who's playing tremendously. And they have a great coach in Rod Brindamore. They play like he played. No nonsense. Nose to the grindstone.
His fingerprints are all over that
This
team.
is a hard-working, disciplined, tough opponent. There's a reason they finished first. There's a reason they are where they are and finish where they finished. The Rangers will have their hands full, but they're terrifically grateful to have that chance to have their hands full next round.
And they'll probably get going midweek next round in Carolina. Alan Krita from the AP, thank you so much for
You're welcome.
Making the rush up 6th Avenue and joining us. I know it was a tight turnaround from the Garden to get here.
Luckily, it didn't go double or triple overtime.
Well, and the way this series started, you just weren't sure. 5 Game 7s in one weekend. I think the Rangers topped them all, though. It was incredible.
So. Definitely.
All right, we appreciate your time here tonight.